Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, and we've had the announcement from the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation that they have completely taken the city of Pokrovsk, a key eastern Ukrainian city, which was a hub of activity where many railroad lines converged. Over the railroad lines is what they were using to move troops, weapons, tanks, what have you. So this was their restocking hub and place where they were organizing themselves. Now it has fallen into Russian hands, and it is next to another city, Mirnograd, which is in the process of being taken, but apparently there's somewhere between 500 and 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers still trapped there. They have provided them with multiple opportunities to surrender, to save their lives. Many of them are not surrendering. Some of them are attempting to escape at nighttime, and the possibility of leaving the city is very low. Because the drones have night vision, so they can be spotted. They're out in the open, and very difficult for them to know where they need to go. The Russians pretty much have that area surrounded, so they become easy pickings if they're out in the open by themselves and they don't surrender. So this is a really bad scenario for Ukraine, and this was such a bad scenario for Ukraine that one of the Ukrainian marketing or media persons tried to fake a video in which they replaced the Russian soldiers seen here with Ukrainian soldiers holding a Ukrainian flag, but unfortunately the AI got the background all mixed up. It thought this was a vehicle and then put it looks like some kind of garbage or something that was destroyed. It converted it into a car and started driving down this, well, you can't even see that there's a road there. It looks like totally covered over with something, and in the background it put, like normal city scenes with cars going back and forth. So when they try to fake a video to cancel out a Russian victory, that city is important. So we have this article here. We move out of the way. This is from the Kiev Independent. Where is Ukraine's front line? ? The answer is getting harder and more political. So, yes, exactly. It's getting very political to say that Ukraine is losing and Russia is winning, because if you say that in Ukraine, you could get arrested, your bank account could be taken, you could lose your home, your car, your job, you could be put in jail, you could be mobilized. So no one is allowed in Ukraine to say that Russia is winning. So what do you do when your front line is collapsing and you're running out of soldiers, weapons, money, resources to continue the war? Well, you just you go sideways with comments that are neither here nor there, but you don't say that Ukraine is losing. So if you see someone being interviewed in Ukraine, especially Ukrainian, and they see all this happening, the last thing they're going to do is say that Russia's winning, Ukraine is losing. So they just may say it's a small setback, inflated by the Russian propaganda, blah, blah, blah. Now let's take a look at more Ukrainian propaganda sites. Here we got the deep state map, and here we have the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd region, and according to this map, the Russians have about half of the city, maybe not even that, so maybe 40%, and Mirnograd is completely either untouched, unscathed, or in a gray zone. So quite something considering the gains of the Russian Federation. Now here's the live UA map, and you see here Pokrovsk, Mirnograd. You can see that according to them, Russia has more of Pokrovsk, but not as much as neutral mappers, and Mirnograd basically is untouched, unscathed. Finally, we get the military summary map, which puts itself forward as a neutral mapper. So here we have Pokrovsk basically completely taken, and we have Mirnograd. You can have parts of the Mirnograd taken to the north east, and we have areas taken to the southeast, and there's part of the city in the gray zone, and then there's a part that is not taken. Apparently there's between 500 and 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers that are trapped here, so Russia is basically taking this one step at a time, and but eventually Mirnograd will fall. The soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers that are there, will either surrender, or they will be eliminated, or they could even starve to death without the necessary food to be able to keep going. So this could be a really bad situation for the Ukrainian soldiers who are trapped here. Possibly there are quite a few soldiers who are in the Azov Brigade battalion, and they may be unwilling to surrender to the Russians because they know they'll face jail time. Who knows what else? But anyway, you can see that at least from this neutral mapper military summary, you can see Pokrovsk is basically all taken. This urban area is completely enclosed around Mirnograd, so these Ukrainian soldiers have no possibility of leaving, and so continuing to fight, continuing to hold out makes absolutely no sense. Finally, what is the consequence of Russia having these military victories in Ukraine? Well, we start to see that that those supporters of Ukraine begin to abandon the ship. So this is bad news for Ukraine, that their supporters are starting to lose interest. Here we have this video from Deutsche Welle News. Russia claims capture Pokrovsk ahead of Witkoff talks in Moscow. So I'll put again the link to everything below. But anyway, here is a meeting that was organized of European country defense ministers. So they're going to tell us what was going on at that meeting. So I'm just going to play this briefly so you can hear that.
Perhaps the consequence of being sidelined out of US-led peace talks for Ukraine, less than half of the 27 European Union senior defense ministers showed up for their meeting in Brussels, many sending junior representatives instead.
So half of the 27 European Union countries did not send their top defense minister. They sent junior ministers. This sounds to me like they're starting to downgrade this whole conflict in Ukraine. So anyway, this is bad news. And now that Ukraine is suffering on the battlefield and Pokrovsk has fallen, where are they going next? Well, for the short term, they need to shore up the city of Shakove, of Sofivka. These are areas where the Ukrainians held very strong defensive positions. They will go to Sofivka. They will return back to Zhelody Kolodiaz, where they were when they initially had their expansion into the area, and then they will cover down towards Grishinyo or Grishinye. So they will form a defensive line here, so that once they have that, they can continue on towards the north. Once they have that line, then they can start moving towards the north, and then they can put Slovyansk and Kramatorsk in a large cauldron, and the Russian soldiers who are in Novosilivka will continue down towards the southwest. So they will meet somewhere in the middle, and then they can envelop this area of Slovyansk, Kramatorsk, Konstantinovka in one big cauldron. So once they have that cauldron, then the most important part of this oblast will fall, and then they will only have this last part here to take of Dobropilia, Novodonetsk, Oleksandrivka. So anyway, you can see that once Russia is able to move out of the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd region and move north, then most of this Donetsk Oblast, the Donetsk People's Republic, will fall to Russia and will join Luhansk as 100% liberated by the Russian forces, and then they will begin to move towards Dnipro. So anyway, this is what we're looking at. I don't know if they'll be in Dnipro in 2026 or 2027, but the Russians are not tiring of this conflict. They have continued to be able to outnumber the Ukrainians, and outproduce in military equipment. So there really isn't any sign that they are stopping. So anyway, this announcement, I think it was yesterday, of the taking of Pokrovsk, is that nut that they were going to crack, and now we will start to see dominoes fall in this area until the Donetsk People's Republic falls, and then they will move on to the Dnipro Oblast until they have Dnipro, and then they'll move on from there to Zaporizhia. So anyway, this was one nut they had to crack in order to move on, and it looks like they're moving very quickly, and there really isn't anything Ukraine can do to slow them down. Western countries that at one point had promised boots on the ground never provided those, at least in large numbers, and so the possibility that someone would ride to the rescue of Ukraine is quite low. So anyway, that concludes my video about the fall of Pokrovsk. And so if you like this video, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you back for future videos. Take care. Bye-bye.